welcome once again to Travel in Chinese. I'm Mark Rosewell, also known as Dashan. In this series, we're learning dialogues that might be common for many travelers to China. Of course, the language and grammatical structures that we're learning in these dialogues can be applied to a wide variety of situations. Now, some of our viewers may just be beginners, others are more advanced. But no matter what your level of Chinese is, I'm sure you'll be able to pick up something from this series. And if you can't understand everything the first time through, don't worry, there'll be lots of opportunities to review. Well, in the previous episodes, Huang Renhao and his family have been settling into life in Beijing and then traveling around the city. Now they're looking to travel a little bit further abroad. Let's take a look at where they go.
哎，雪梅，都下班了，怎么还不走啊？
我在查一些和哈尔滨有关的资料和图片。
哈尔滨？怎么，你要去那儿旅游啊？
对啊，你以前老说哈尔滨挺好的，所以这次放长假，我们全家人打算去哈尔滨看看。
是啊，那儿可是个好地方。不过现在正是旺季，人恐怕是少不了的。
对了，正好跟你打听一下，你说现在去哈尔滨坐什么车比较方便？
坐火车呀，又便宜又快。现在的火车都提速了，不比从前啦。
提速？那现在去哈尔滨大概要多长时间？
以前去哈尔滨啊，差不多要在火车上晃悠一整天呢。现在晚上上车睡一觉，第二天一早就到了。
是吗？那可真的方便多了。
嗨，雪梅，等了你半天都不见你下来，不是说好了下班在楼下等的吗？
刚才我一直和小李聊去哈尔滨的事儿，我把这事儿给忘了。哎，对了，小李，这是我先生黄仁豪，这是我同事小李。
黄先生您好。
你好，
请坐。
好，谢谢。
我刚才和小李聊了半天，我觉得坐火车去哈尔滨也挺方便的。
哦，那当然好了。哎，可是你以前不是一直害怕坐中国的火车吗？总说人又多又挤。
说实在的，即使是现在，我还是有点担心。
嗨，没事儿，现在呀有空调了，冬天不冷，夏天呀也不热。
对，要是在20年前呀，出门正好赶上一个3伏天，车厢里又闷又热，衣服呀就像水洗过似的。哎，不过现在呀，时代不同了。
是，雪梅，现在是旺季，去哈尔滨的人特别多，你们啊还是提前预定比较保险。
现在好像提前5天就能买了。
是吗？那去哪儿买啊？
现在都联网了，在哪儿买都一样。
我记得咱家楼下就有一个售票处，我们明天去吧。
好的，那我们先走吧。
好，小李，我们先走，谢谢啊。
慢走，再见。
再见。你好，你好。3张去哈尔滨的火车票。
卧铺还是硬座？
卧铺。
18号的硬卧已经卖完了，只有软卧和硬座票。
别的售票处能不能有？
这是联网的，我这儿没有，别人那儿也没有。
硬座是什么样子的？很硬的座位吗？
就是不能躺着，座位并不硬。
那太受罪了，还是软卧吧。
软卧太贵了，比飞机票便宜一点，也便宜不到哪儿去。
贵就贵吧，不是要体验一下在中国坐火车的感觉吗？
那买3张卧铺票吧。
软卧3张，12次，晚上9点05发车。
Okay, now let's go back over the dialogue line by line. Xuemei is thinking of going to Harbin, a city in northeast China, not far from the border with Russia. 你老说哈尔滨挺好的. You always say that Harbin is quite nice. Here, 老 doesn't mean literally old. It's used here to indicate always or constantly. 老说, to constantly say something. You always say. But Harbin is also a popular destination. 现在正是旺季. Right now it's just the peak season. 旺 means flourishing or thriving. 旺季, the busy season. 人恐怕是少不了的. Here, 恐怕 is used just like the English I'm afraid. I'm afraid there will be many people. 少不了 cannot be a few. In other words, there will be many.
对啊，你以前老说哈尔滨挺好的，所以这次放长假，我们全家人打算去哈尔滨看看。
是啊，那儿可是个好地方。不过现在正是旺季，人恐怕是少不了的。
The best way to go is by train. 坐火车呀，又便宜又快. Travel by train is both cheap and fast. Now we've touched on this pattern before. 又 this, 又 that, both this and that. 现在的火车都提速了，不比从前了. Nowadays trains have increased their speed. 速度 is speed. 提速 to increase speed. They travel at faster speeds so that now you can depart at night and arrive in the morning. In the past you had to 在火车上晃悠一整天 to spend a whole day on the train. 晃悠 is literally means to swing back and forth. It's also used to describe the action of moving around with no purpose or not achieving anything. Here, 晃悠 is something like hanging out, spending a whole day just hanging out on the train doing nothing. Now you can 晚上上车睡一觉 board the train at night and go to sleep. 第二天一早就到了 arrive first thing in the next morning. 一早 is early in the morning. First thing in the morning. 一早。
坐火车呀，又便宜又快。现在的火车都提速了，不比从前了。
提速？那现在去哈尔滨大概要多长时间？
以前去哈尔滨啊，差不多要在火车上晃悠一整天呢。现在晚上上车睡一觉，第二天一早就到了。
Now, since the 硬卧 hard sleepers are sold out, only 软卧 soft sleepers are available. 软卧 the soft sleepers are the most comfortable and the most luxurious, but of course also the most expensive. 比飞机票便宜点儿，也便宜不到哪儿去. They're a little cheaper than airplane tickets, but not by much. 便宜不到哪儿去. This is a colloquial expression. They're not cheaper by far, only slightly. 贵就贵一点吧. If they're expensive, they're expensive. This implies that you'll buy them anyway, regardless of the price. Now you can use this pattern in another example. 去就去吧. If you're going, then go. 去就去吧. 不是要体验一下在中国坐火车的感觉吗? Don't you want to experience the feeling of riding a train in China? 不是 something ma is a rhetorical question. Don't you want to? It's implied that the obvious answer is yes. Of course.
软卧太贵了，比飞机票便宜一点，也便宜不到哪儿去。
贵就贵吧，不是要体验一下在中国坐火车的感觉吗？
那买3张卧铺票吧。
Let's take a break now and talk a little bit about trains in China. You know, China has one of the most highly developed rail systems in the world. Trains link almost every town and city. Some people may still imagine Chinese trains to be old-fashioned and crowded. In fact, some routes still use traditional steam engines until 10 or 20 years ago. But today, the best trains are very modern and comfortable and safe. Trains in China have 4 classes: soft seat, soft sleeper, hard seat, and hard sleeper. Short-distance trains normally just have hard-class seats or sometimes hard seats and soft seats, but no sleeper bunks. Long-distance trains have soft and hard-class sleepers, as well as a few cars with hard seats, the so-called cheap seats. Soft sleepers have comfortable 4-berth compartments with full bedding provided. Hard-class sleepers have bunks in an open-style dormitory, usually arranged in bays of 6, upper, middle, and lower, on one side of the aisle, with pairs of seats on the other side of the aisle for daytime use. For long trips, both hard-class and soft-class sleepers are quite comfortable, but soft-class does provide much more space and privacy. The most important trains on the, for instance, Beijing-Shanghai or Beijing-Hong Kong and some other routes also have deluxe soft class with 2-berth compartments, as well as the normal 4-berth soft class. Of course, most long-distance trains have a restaurant car as well, serving full meals. So, how do you book a train ticket? Reservations for the best Z-class trains open 20 days in advance. But for most other trains, bookings only open 4 to 10 days before departure. The rules sometimes vary. However, you can't buy a ticket before the bookings open. You can generally only book a train journey at the station where your journey starts. So, for example, the reservation office in Shanghai can sell you a ticket from Shanghai to Beijing, but not a ticket from Beijing on to Xi'an. Let's take a moment now to look in more detail at some of the language points that came up in today's dialogue. For example, 老. Now here it's used as an adverb meaning always, never. Here it doesn't mean old. always, never. It's often used in this sense to complain about something. For instance, 雨老下个不停，我们今天还是别出去了。It never stops raining. Today, let's not go outside.
你以前老说哈尔滨挺好的，所以这次放长假，我们全家人打算去哈尔滨看看。
Here's another language point. 差不多, almost, approximately. For example, 咱们的钱差不多快用光了。We've spent just about all of our money. We spent almost all of our money.
以前去哈尔滨啊，差不多要在火车上晃悠一整天呢。
Now let's do some substitution exercises with some grammatical patterns that we came across in today's dialogue. For example, 哪儿都 or 哪儿也 anywhere, everywhere. For example, 这样的东西哪儿都能买到. This kind of thing you could buy anywhere. You can buy it everywhere. 这样的东西哪儿都能买到.
他方向感很强，到哪儿都不迷路。
他方向感很强，到哪儿都不迷路。
他到哪儿我都会陪着他的。
他到哪儿我都会陪着他的。
Here's another useful pattern. An adjective followed by 不到哪儿去, indicating not by much. Now this is often used in a negative sense to indicate that both of the choices aren't very good. Let me show you an example. 你照相的技术比他好不到哪儿去. Your skill at photography isn't much better than his. Now this implies that he's not very good either, and you're not much better than he is. 你照相的技术比他好不到哪儿去.
今天冷不到哪儿去，不用穿那么多衣服吧。
今天冷不到哪儿去，不用穿那么多衣服吧。
这件衣服大不到哪儿去，你穿正合适。
这件衣服大不到哪儿去，你穿正合适。
恐怕没时间了. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. But we picked up a lot of good vocabulary on the way this time. For instance, 联网, to be linked by a network, and 旺季, peak season. We also talked about different classes of train tickets like 硬座, hard seat, and 软卧, soft sleeper. 硬座太受罪了. It's too much punishment to go by hard seat. Actually, they're not all that bad, especially now that the trains have 提速, picked up their speed, increased their speed. But of course, you wouldn't want to spend the whole night on a 硬座, hard seat. Well, that is all the time we have for today, but we hope you'll join us next time here on Travel in Chinese. 再见.